Hey, Jack. All right. You got this stuff?
Yeah, all cleaned in oil.
Oh, yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful. Let's get it on.
Who are these guys?
It's my theme music. Every good hero should have some.
Live from Springfield, Missouri, the one, the only, Keith Green.
Excuse me. Can I get a cup of coffee? Black? Can't you see we talking? White?
Good morning, everybody. It is Thursday, which means it is time for morning coffee with Keith and Martin.
No, leave me out of it. Man.
Oh, okay. How are you?
You're
Martin?
the star, man. You're the star. I'm just
I-
pressing buttons.
How you doing, Martin?
I'm doing fine, and I'm doing even better since I'm waiting for all the trove of knowledge that you usually dump on me.
I
I'm an,
already feel bad about all the toys and stuff I talk about.
oh, don't. Oh, we have someone that you may know in the chat. Look at that.
Look at that. Well. What kind of coffee? Well, there are many different types of coffee, but I'll just take mine the normal way, you know. And a hello to you, Big MM. Wow.
We have
Andy
ended.
Morrow. Hello. You know what? That's just a good reason to go ahead and just say hello to everybody in the chat. So, it's Penny. Hello, Penny. Wow. Anyway, let me just start out with today we will definitely be talking about Cinemacon because that really is the biggest thing to talk about. What comes out of Cinemacon will be basically any and all information about all the films that you are going to want to see over the course of the next year. And it is safe to say that Cinemacon is, to those within the theatrical business, theater business, what many people feel that San Diego Comic-Con is to geeks and nerds. And the entirety of Cinemacon is the kind of event that parts of it are very reminiscent of San Diego. But I will say this. You can't beat the kind of experience that you have there as far as having access to a lot of the movers and shakers who run a lot of the studios and a lot of the performers that are appearing in some of these films. Unlike the current version of San Diego, everybody shows up to Cinemacon. Everybody, you know, and that's a cool thing. They've already had several things unveiled, and we're going to be talking about a lot of that today. But first up, I want to go over a few news stories that were released some things that some of you out there, especially me, I really wasn't really expecting some of this information. Uh, anyway, let me start with the first big one. By now, some of you have heard of a little TV show formerly on NBC called Heroes.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, looks like Heroes is coming back again.
Really?
Yes,
Oh,
yes. Now,
I really don't know how to feel about it.
a lot of people don't know how to feel about it. Uh, the original Heroes is one of those shows, and is a good example of someone who has a good idea but doesn't know what to do with it, mainly because they're not a comic book fan when they come up with it. And that was the biggest secret of that show. Tim Kring, who was the guy behind it, according to him, was not a comic book fan. I mean, that's kind of odd to me, you know, especially since comic books play at least a major part in the story, at least in the first season.
Even
And yeah, go ahead.
even the design, they use vignettes and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And what the hell?
Now you know why it was so odd.
Yeah, I'm doing a show about something that I do not like. Oh,
Yeah, but you got to think
okay.
of it this way. How is that different from how the studios are handling and have handled comic book movies in the last few years?
Well, you could say that was the original moment of this trend. If you're a fan, you're not allowed. What? Good luck at the box office.
Well, um,
Wait,
Variety has the story, and I'll just read from what they had put together. Reported by uh, Michaela Z about 15 hours ago. Uh, says a Heroes reboot series is in development from creator Tim Kring, Variety has confirmed. The reboot, titled Heroes Eclipsed, is set years after the events of the original 2006 superhero series, as new evolved humans are discovering their powers. Heroes ran for 4 seasons from 2006 to 2010 and starred uh, Hayden Panettiere, Jack Coleman, Milo Ventimiglia, Masioka, Zachary Quinto, Sandal Rothmurray, Ali Lauder, Adrian Pasdar, and Greg Grunberg. Kring then worked on the 2015 reboot series Heroes Reborn, with Coleman reprising his role as Noah Bennett. They also went out and got the actor that was the Haitian also
mm,
to be in it. Um,
I man, I abandoned the series like 2 or 3 episodes in the second season.
really?
Yeah, because uh, it got too much like lost.
Mm-hmm.
They they started with the trope of placing the symbol everywhere and never telling you something. So I have never liked mystery boxes. I never. And I thought that answers were going to be incoming in the second season, and they didn't came. So I said, "Mm, okay, thank you for the little favors. See you never again." and and it bothers me because even with the problems with some characters, I like the show. But I never could understand the the whole arc with Hayden Panettiere's characters. Oh my God, my life is so horrible. I can die. What the fuck?
Yeah.
But it was Sylar, the name of
Yeah, Zachary Quanto's
yes.
character.
Oh, that character was awesome. Yeah, he was a complete not job, but it was a very well done character. And but the series tried to the show tried to be more smarter than it really was. So I gave up. But if they're gonna give answers this time, I'm willing to give it a chance. And by the way, I hate to interrupt the flow of the show, but thank you, Sci-Fi Mombi. We have bad news. Uh, O.J. Simpson passed away.
Yeah, I saw that. I was gonna try to not bring that up, you know.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But no. I'm sure people would have been asking questions, but yes, it is true. That it has been reported that O.J. Simpson, former football star, dies at the age of 76. That is breaking news. So I'm sure they're going to go over all aspects of his life and everything else. And yeah, he had, let's see, this happened yesterday in a statement released by, I'm assuming his family. On April 10th, our father, Orenthal James Simpson, succumbed to his battle with cancer. He was surrounded by his children and grandchildren. During this time of transition, his family asks that you please respect their wishes for privacy and grace.
Yeah,
And that was the statement that they had put out there.
like that's what's gonna happen.
So there you go. Um, let's see. Uh, let's see.
Well,
Let's get into some of the questions here or statements. Uh, Sci-Fi Mombi, let's see, said that. Penny said that she'd like Heroes, and says that she says, "Please don't make it woke." That's what Penny says. And Sci-Fi Mombi says, "I never got into Heroes. I tried. I get that." Um, and Wolverine 66 says the author of the Heroes article is using the word reboot wrong.
yes, it's a continuation, right?
Yeah, it's a continuation. Um, and while I agree that the 2007 writers' strike with Wolverine 66 says that the 2007 writers' strike really killed Heroes somewhat. A lot of it also has to do with the fact that Tim Kring wasn't that big of a comic book fan. You know, you had a lot of comic book fans, especially Marvel comic book fans of the X-Men, who were yelling at the screen, going, "Hey, you should do this. You should go here. You should do," you know. And to read interviews and to see interviews with Tim Kring and him saying all that stuff, what really took a lot of people off guard. You know, why would, and again, it's like you were saying earlier, Martin, why would you do something like this if you were not that familiar with comics? It'd be one thing if you wanted to do a show about people with powers, but to put comic books and make a comic book really the centerpiece of that story in the first season, really, people are going to make the leap to thinking that you at least know more about comics and comic stories and histories than you do. And this is just one of those things where it makes you ask a question. It's like, what's going on here? I think Tim Crane would have been better served having somebody that knew comics backwards and forwards working with him on the show. I think the show would have lasted longer. And for those of you who didn't complete the rest of the series, I would have been fine with Heroes had they left it right where they ended it, right? But here's the thing. Then they did the Heroes Reborn. And they intimate in the Heroes Reborn miniseries that they put together that one of the major characters from Heroes has a life-changing development and is no longer among the living. And it's just the way they put the whole thing together is so odd that it makes me wonder if they're actually going to acknowledge that particular story, or if they're just going to pretend it didn't happen and continue the story from where the original series left off. My big thing is I hope they're able to get all the original actors back, because it would make more sense. I think Heroes Reborn would have been better if they had at least even half of the cast back for that. And you were trying to put together a brand new show with the Haitian and the man in the glasses and a whole new group of heroes. A lot of people didn't really get into that, especially after finding out that one of the favorite characters of the show was gone. So, and again, I'm trying not to spoil it, because I'm pretty sure quite a few of you out there never finished the show originally and never really saw Heroes Reborn. So, I mean, I'm not one of those people to try to spoil too much, but it comes as a shock, especially when you find out who two of the heroes that are a part of the story actually are in relation to the one that is no longer amongst the living. Yeah, Wolverine 66, I agree. Ali Lauder's character got real convoluted in Heroes. I think after a while, she decided she wanted to go off and do movies and other things. You know, so I don't blame her. I think a lot of the cast of that show eventually just got a little tired, you know, and wanted to expand and use some of their newfound fame to go out and do other things. But hey, that's where we are right now. So that was one of the big stories to get released. So, and that was yesterday. I think there's also been a development with let's see. I think there's been a development with another show that we're all familiar with, which is Battlestar Galactica.
Oh.
I know. I
Oh.
I know.
Oh. Look, man. When we got Galactica 80, I was like, why do this way? The first one was perfect. Then we got Battlestar Galactica, the 2-part miniseries, and I was even more stunned. I said, "Dude, it didn't work last time. Let it be." And it turns out to be one of the most beloved sci-fi shows ever, especially by me. So now I'm yet again in the same position. Do we really need to risk this?
Yeah,
I mean,
I I don't know. I can't say, but here, let me go ahead and read this, and we'll see what you guys think, okay?
Go.
If you like science fiction shows like The Expanse or Stargate, but you haven't heard of Battlestar Galactica, aka BSG, by Ronald D. Moore and David Icke, based on the original concept of the 1970s by Glenn A. Larson, stop reading and start watching. Its title might suggest that BSG is mainly about random space battles at the cost of a proper in-depth story, but it's everything but that. With its exceptional plot and storytelling, Battlestar Galactica is probably the best sci-fi series. Let me back that up. I'm going to do a little editing, because if this person had done their homework, this is what this should say. Battlestar Galactica is probably the best hard science fiction series the century has seen so far. And even if there's another science fiction show you consider better, BSG should at least be in everyone's top 3. Well, that's true.
Yes, it's my number 2. My number 1, Babylon 5. Number 3, the 3 first season of The Expanse.
The series, which is a reboot of the original Battlestar Galactica show from 1978, ended in late 2009 after 4 seasons. So almost 15 years ago. Ouch.
Yes, and we don't talk about Caprica.
Ouch. I know, I kind of knew it, but I hadn't really registered how long it's been since the end of the
Yes.
Ouch. Okay. Whew. Okay. BSG was so popular that in addition to the series, 2 movies, Razor and The Plan, an online miniseries, The Face of the Enemy, a spin-off, close your ears, Martin, Caprica, and a prequel film, which was originally intended to be the pilot for another spin-off called Blood and Chrome, that was very good, were produced.
Yes, it was.
Since then, many BSG fans have been hoping that the franchise would somehow make a comeback, and their prayers have been answered. Another reboot was officially announced by Peacock in 2019. However, we haven't heard much about the BSG reboot for a long time since then, probably because of the pandemic and the writer's strike. But lately, there have been some interesting news, which proves the reboot is very much alive. Boom, boom, boom.
Ay.
BSG reboot gets a new showrunner. It's been clear for quite a while that Sam Esmail will produce the BSG reboot. Esmail has gained a lot of popularity for his Mr. Robot series, and if you have an active Netflix subscription, you might have spotted a movie called Leave the World Behind, which is his latest work. It was expected that Esmail would also become the showrunner, but at the beginning of the year, it turned out via Deadline that Derek Simmons will run the show instead. Besides his work as author and executive producer, Derek Simmons created The Sinner, a quite popular Netflix crime series. Let's see. So far, I'm not seeing anything that anybody's done that makes me think they can do hard science fiction, but maybe it's just a me thing. BSG reboot, first plot details and theories. We're apparently still several months away from getting concrete details about the reboot story and characters, but at least we have some hints about the show's direction. According to Esmail via The Hollywood Reporter, artificial intelligence will have a big influence on the reboot story.
Duh.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Thank you, Martin. Which indicates that the conflict between humanity and Cylons will be a lot more complex than the generic human versus robots narrative.
What the? Oh my God!
Wait a minute. Now this is the fault of the person writing this.
Yeah.
You either have seen Battlestar Galactica or you haven't.
Yeah. What are they talking about?
Okay.
Did they have their breakfast before writing
Yeah.
that?
Somebody's mind just kind of wandered while they were writing. But let's get back into it. Apart from that, we expect the BSG reboot to pick up on the cycle of time, which is so iconic for the franchise. Because, as it has always been said, all of this has happened before, and all of this will happen again. It makes a lot of sense that the BSG reboot will find itself in such an iteration. That's true. A lot of that talk, though, was a very big part of season 1, though. Battlestar Galactica reboot release date estimation. While an exact release date hasn't been officially announced, we can speculate on the timing of the release based on a comment from Ismail. Back in late 2023, he mentioned they're probably going to go to pilot soon, assuming filming commences a few months after, and considering additional steps like post-production, we expect the BSG reboot to debut in early 2025. About Battlestar Galactica from Ronald D. Moore. Battlestar Galactica is a space opera television series that aired from 2004 to 2009, starting with a miniseries that premiered in 2003. The show follows a space fleet consisting of about 50,000 humans who are fleeing from the 12 home planets after a genocide by a race of robots called the Cylons, robots that humanity created in the first place. The survivors are led by the last remaining warship, the Battlestar Galactica, on a quest to find a new home called Okay. Let's see.
Well,
You know what? The rest of this is just going over stuff about other shows. So
I only need to know one thing.
yeah,
Are there gonna be Daggits this time?
I have no idea, and that's the thing. Look, because of how well Ronald D. Moore did his reboot of Battlestar Galactica and the way he set it up for future iterations to be different in many different ways, which is smart on his part. This new show can be anything they want it to be
Oh,
because of Ronald D. Moore, because of the
that
way he set it up.
that scares me.
Yeah, yeah. Well, again, the the 2003 miniseries, the way it was set up and the way everything is presented, both in the miniseries and in the first season, it's pretty evident that this is not the 1978 series.
Yeah, but
And
it brings up a lot of that.
yes, there are things brought up, like for instance, in the Ronald D. Moore, David Icke version of Battlestar Galactica, the original equipment and everything else is seen as something from the past.
Hmm.
It's more of a past thing, even though uh, there are other differences where a lot of the names from the original series are more like code names, call signs. So it was more a look at the life of everyone there, religion, but also combining all of that with Top Gun in a way. And no,
Indeed.
seriously, because yeah,
Yes,
it was
yes.
the fighter pilots and everything. And so, if you're gonna do a reboot, my interest is okay. Are you gonna take a different tact? Now, one rumor that I heard was that they were going to try to base it on something that had occurred during this television series, the 2004 series. Specifically, an incident that happened during the course of the series when the Cylons had captured the planet that the Galactica remnants had settled
Hmm.
and kept everybody hostage for a year. Because there's a time jump.
Re-educating them.
Yeah, there's a time jump. And so, one rumor that I had heard was that this new series was going to be set after the events of that, where not everybody made it off the planet. Not every human left the planet.
No, they lost like a third of the population, I think.
Yeah. And so that this new series was going to follow what happened to them, which I find to be quite interesting. That's a good thing and a bad thing. It's a good thing because, hey, it's like, it's great. We get to, that is still one of my all-time favorite episodes, really, of science fiction, was the episode where the Galactica and the Pegasus.
Oh,
Yeah.
I have a moral dilemma with that episode. Dude,
What's your moral dilemma?
Yes, how dare you sacrifice the Pegasus to keep the Galactica?
Oh, well,
no, sacrifice the Galactica and keep the Pegasus. That ship was badass, man.
It was badass, but it was also newer, and it had a lot more problems that had to be retrofitted from how they had explained in both the miniseries and in the
I
first
know,
season.
but you see that is even better because that gives you more material for the show.
Yeah, but it also sets
more
you up.
hardship.
I know, but it also sets you up for problems. Look, I see how excited you are, but I disagree.
They need to have problems. That is the whole thing of the whole theme of the show is how they solve problems.
True.
But one after the other.
When you're dealing with the last remnants of humanity, you can't afford to make too many mistakes. And that was one of the things that President Roslin was doing with having the numbers, where she would got accurate numbers on everybody in the fleet. And every time something bad happened, they would go through to count how many people they had lost, how many people had died. And that's how many you have left. I mean, this is it, So from that point of view, whatever plan gets you out of the situation that you in, you got to go with. And at that particular moment in time, the Galactica was better equipped because it was an older ship. That meant they were heavy on the armor of the ship, whereas the Pegasus was newer. It had a lot of advanced stuff going for it. But the thing is that it also had a lot of basic problems that they had to keep going over. Because, again, it was a sign of how the Cylons were able to do what they were able to do, which is take advantage of all the new equipment and be able to take control of it. And that's part of the reason why the Pegasus was, it was expendable compared to Galactica. Now, personally, I love the Pegasus too. I thought the Pegasus was a badass ship. But in that particular instance, I would have done the exact same thing. It makes more sense if you're going to try to protect as many people as possible, is to put them on the ship that at least allows everyone to live longer. And you did what you had to do within the circumstance. But again, look at it this way. How many other shows can have two people still getting into it, talking about it with this passion, still to this day?
Star Trek. True. Real Star Trek.
Yeah. We may see an end coming to the current impasse soon enough. If Skydance makes that deal, then it's pretty. So look, let me go ahead and just say it. I've been talking to people. Skydance has an axe to grind with Alex Kurtzman. They do not like him, and the reason why is because he took some of their employees a few years back. He poached a lot of really talented people from Skydance. And remember what I have been saying for years. When it comes to billionaires, the one thing you won't never want to do is piss them off. And David Ellison, whose dad really is the billionaire, but David Ellison has done a really good job of making a lot of money on his own. He runs Skydance. That's his studio. And Alex Kurtzman pissed him off
Oh,
So it don't matter what happens in the end. It's the reason why you've had a lot of reports say that Skydance has no interest in Star Trek. And especially they have no interest in Alex Kurtzman. But if they had to do something with Star Trek, they're going to make sure to go after Kurtzman first before they do anything. They are going to
well,
get rid of him and his company. So really, a lot of you Star Trek fans should be rooting for Skydance and rooting for David Ellison to just basically take out Kurtzman. But David Ellison's not dumb. This is not one of those situations, and this is where I feel bad for some of you. Some of you who are fans of Star Trek Strange New Worlds, you have to understand. David Ellison and his legal department and his lawyers are not going to leave anything behind that Kurtzman can use to get control or to try to get money. Anything related to Kurtzman's version of Star Trek, meaning anything that is directly related to Star Trek Discovery, STD as I like to call it, anything that has any ties to that show and that version of the universe, as Steve Rogers said in The Winter Soldier about S.H.I.E.L.D., it all has to go.
I'm
All of it.
hiding my pain.
It just all has to go. What will be left will be everything that was a part of Star Trek prior to Kurtzman coming along. That's what we're looking at.
If
So
it happens.
that's if Skydance takes over. If Skydance doesn't get it, that's not going to happen. If Skydance gets it, David Ellison will make sure this is going to happen because he doesn't like Kurtzman. That's pretty much it. And Kurtzman can't talk his way out of this. That's a personal thing. You just don't do that to somebody. And David Ellison, who I think is, first of all, younger than Kurtzman, David learned from his father how to deal with people who are your adversary. And his father is one of the people for whom they modeled the character Tony Stark for the MCU Iron Man films. There were two people in real life, outside of the comic book version of the character, there were two people who they modeled Robert Downey Jr.'s performance from, and one of them was his dad. But we're getting way off topic. We're wandering quite far. But I will say this to wrap it up. As of right now, okay, Skydance really is in the driver's seat, and Sherry Redstone wants to go with their offer. As far as she's concerned, if it were up to her, she would go ahead and sell to Skydance. And if that's the case, then Ding Dong is dead, and and maybe we could see some real Star Trek within the next 2 to 3 years. But that again, it's a wait and see situation. So anyway, back to Battlestar Galactica. Again, we're left to wait and see, but it is on the way. Still no major news moving forward with not that I've seen thus far about even Babylon 5. Look, Babylon 5 Battlestar Galactica and Stargate SG-1 are all on the docket for either continuations or reboots. Okay? So, some of us can look forward to it, you know? Uh,
With a little apprehension.
with a little apprehension. It's always a good thing. And if we're really lucky, by the time those three make the air, by the time we get what they're trying to do, uh, hopefully we'll have some sort of news about Star Trek in a positive fashion. But as of right now, this is what we're left with. So there you go. That's all of your basic information, new stuff. Now we need to get to the main topic, which is Cinemacon going on right now in Vegas. As I was telling you before the show, Cinemacon, Martin, is definitely one of those shows that is really just like San Diego Comic Con, but for everybody in the theater presentation business. And it is big. It is huge. But I can definitely say that while I would like to go, I don't think I have enough money to go because it's very expensive. Tickets are quite expensive. It's not really made for the general public to attend. It's only made for those who are in the business. And so they make the ticket prices quite high. So that way they can try to keep you and I out. And try to keep in, try to make it something that everybody that works in the business can freely go to and get access to some of the biggest names in film right now. Whether you're talking talent in front of the camera, or a lot of the people who are either behind the camera and or working a lot of the basic jobs and a lot of the heads of certain departments. You know, this is definitely something that is big. It's just big. So, CinemaCon has been running all this week. And as of right now, you've already had presentations from several studios. Now, Warner Brothers had their presentations 2 days ago, or a day ago, I should say. And I think we're gonna go over the Warner Brothers presentation. So as of right now, let's see. You had several films were highlighted during the Warner Brothers presentation. The new Joker film, Furiosa, a Mad Max saga, Beetlejuice 2, otherwise known as Beetlejuice, and also Kevin Costner's upcoming film Horizon, and M. Night Shyamalan's The Trap.
That could be a
Now,
trap.
well, hopefully a lot of you got a chance to see the trailer for Joker 2. But for those who aren't sure, I'm not going to try to give away any spoilers, but the footage, we see Joaquin Phoenix as Arthur Fleck, and we see as he starts to form a relationship while incarcerated with Harley Quinn, played by Lady Gaga. and there's a lot of singing. There's a lot of opportunities to sing and do other things, and
Well, it was known since the beginning that it was going to be a musical. So
yeah, but here's the thing you got to understand. Director Todd Phillips took the stage to discuss the film and confirmed that while the sequel is not a full musical, music will be an essential element. Okay? It
mhm.
also apparently won't veer too much from the original film, and that Arthur Fleck has always had music in him. Those were the things said by Todd Phillips. And that's what I kind of got the impression of. That, yeah, there are going to be some musical numbers and some possible dance sequences, but this is not a musical like Singing in the Rain or anything like that. And given what happened in the last movie, my theory personally is that we're still look. I don't want to spoil anything for anyone that hasn't seen the first film, but it has been a few years, and the film did win an Academy Award. But
Well,
you got to remember something. The biggest twist of the last movie that got revealed was the fact that Arthur is an unreliable narrator.
yeah,
Okay? So that's how you have to understand this movie going into this sequel.
yeah, and I believe that Howard is even a less reliable narrator. I, when they say that they're going to bring up musical,
Mm-hmm.
I immediately thought of that sequence in the Suicide Squad, in which Harley she is going through an action sequence, but she's perceiving it as a musical number,
Yeah.
and I thought that maybe this is what they're going to do with Joker too.
You know,
That
that's
the singing and dancing is going to be only in their heads
yeah.
as they are massacring a lot of people.
You know what? That's ironic because that's really how I felt about the entirety of the Birds of Prey movie. Uh, I've said it before on other shows, and I'll say it on this one. That Birds of Prey movie is a really bad adaptation of Birds of Prey. In fact, the director had no intention of following the comic at all. That said, when you go back and watch the movie, watch it with this thought in mind that everything you were watching in that movie doesn't happen.
It's a fabrication of Harley.
That's right. You got to remember there is an actual sequence in this movie that gives you that impression. Several sequences, but the biggest one being the beginning of the movie.
I wouldn't know because I dodged that movie like the plague.
Yeah, there's a sequence at the beginning of the movie where Harley is reacting to Joker having dumped her. And she destroys a major plant. And in the ensuing chaos that she has caused, being proud of herself, she does something happens that pretty much sets the stage for everything that happens from that point on in the movie, which is she slips and hits her head.
Oh,
That's at the beginning of the movie. Now remember, the plot of Birds of Prey is you have all of these ladies get together to take on a really bad guy. And one of them is actually someone who works for the Gotham Police Department. Now, Harley Quinn is known to the entire Gotham City Police Department. She has killed a lot of people, one of them being Robin. but she's also killed a lot of cops. And the way the movie goes is that this person ends up working with Harley Quinn and trusting her enough to basically go after this bad guy. That's not going to happen because the character that they picked to do that in the comics is not a fan of Harley Quinn at all. But also, there are some sequences in this film that just defy logic. And personally, I just think that what you're watching is pretty much a film, very much like the first Joker movie, which is a lot of it is an unreliable narrator. And that by the end of the movie, she ends up basically back in cuffs. And she ends up caught just in time for her to join everyone else in James Gunn's movie, The Suicide Squad. So, that's what I thought about that film. I didn't think it was the best comic book movie, and I thought it was a waste of time uh, uh, to make that film. it just wasn't that good. But Walter Hamada staked his reputation on the fact that that film was going to be as big, if not bigger, than the first Suicide Squad movie. And that between that movie and Wonder Woman 1984, that Warner Brothers was just going to outdo everybody at the box office. And that this little Joker movie would just be a nice little one-off thing that people could watch and get a little bit of a chuckle and, Needless to say, Walter, like many things, was wrong by a lot because Warner Brothers, because of his recommendation and the recommendation of the people immediately above him to not fully fund the movie Joker by Todd Phillips, meant that another studio came along and provided a majority of the financial backing, which meant that when this little movie that was made for about 75 million made $1 billion, Warner Brothers only made the amount of money to cover their investment, and that was it. The majority of the money plus the profits went to Todd Phillips, his production company, and the other studio who gave them the money to make the movie. This Joker movie was really done. The Joker sequel was really put together in haste because Walter Hamada and Ann Sarnoff were trying to cover their backsides. They knew that they had messed up. And it cost Warner Brothers a lot of money. And so they needed to have something, or else they were basically looking at possibly getting fired. So that's the reason why they invested time in making a sequel to a film that even the director and lead actor said that they had no plans of making one.
Yes.
Next is Furiosa, a Mad Max saga. And let's see, those in attendance at Warner Brothers Picture Cinemacon panel were treated to an extended sneak peek at Furiosa, a Mad Max saga. The few moments on display showcase the early life story of Anna Taylor-Joy's Furiosa and her arduous journey to avenge her mom and lost childhood. We also saw some of this story in the most recent trailer for Furiosa. You know how with D23, Cinemacon is also something to where the people who are there get to see things that those of us in the general public don't get to see for at least months, if not a year, after they've already been shown. Okay? So there's a lot of stuff that they show that you're able to see right now we're able to see stuff that's been approved for us to see. At Cinemacon, you're getting scenes and stuff that the general public will not be allowed to see for months, if ever. And in certain cases, the Cinemacon audience is treated to the opportunity to check out certain movies well ahead of even the general public being able to see them. Not just a movie that's about to come out in a couple days. Sometimes you're able to check out movies that won't be seen, some of which won't even be seen for almost a year. In fact, the year that the last Ghostbusters movie, Afterlife, when that movie came out, about 4 months before that film came out, if I remember correctly, everybody that attended CinemaCon that year got a chance to see it.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's CinemaCon. It's everything that you get excited about, basically, with San Diego Comic-Con, but just centering just on movies. And unlike San Diego, where they are interested in as many people coming and seeing what they have, CinemaCon is not for the general public. So, now, the next film is Beetlejuice, which took the center stage at Warner Brothers presentation. They were shown footage of the sequel in action alongside previous clips from the trailer that they had released. They were able to get good looks at Keaton's Beetlejuice, the Dietzes, which is Winona Ryder's Lydia, Catherine O'Hara's Della, and Jenna Ortega's Astrid, and even Willem Dafoe's character. Lydia also seemingly confirms the film will deal with the dead and the living trying to coexist. Keaton has seen the film 2 times now and says it is really effing cool, and that Ortega is just perfect in the movie and got what they were going for right away. The film will open September 6th of this year. The Mickey 17 trailer shows the many lives of Robert Pattinson's Mickey. The first trailer for Mickey 17 was shown at Warner Brothers panel and showed how Robert Pattinson's Mickey is an expendable asset who can be reprinted whenever he dies. The film is based on Edward Ashton's Mickey 7, but director Bong Joon-ho of Parasite fame changed the title to Mickey 17 because he kills Pattinson's character 10 more times than the book did.
Damn.
The footage featured Pattinson acting against himself multiple times in this futuristic sci-fi world, and Bong Joon-ho knew he could play all these different versions of Mickey because he has a crazy thing in his eyes. We also got to see Mark Ruffalo's dictator character, his wife, who is played by Toni Collette, Mickey's girlfriend, who's played by Naomi Ackie, and Stephen Yeun, who will be playing Mickey's strange buddy. Wow. Mickey 17, which really is the story of a simple man who ends up saving the world, will be released in theaters January 31st of 2025.
A little far away.
Yeah, a little
But okay.
bit. I remember calling this movie Robert Pattinson's Multiplicity. Oh, wow. And you know what? We've reached the halfway point.
Yeah.
So, don't we have a little something to show the people?
Yes.
You know
We
what?
have-
let's go ahead and play it. And on the other side, we'll finish up the Warner Brothers panel and hit the next panel coming up at Cinemacon. Your overview.
Yes, because there's one movie that I want to know more about. And I think you know what it is.
I think we will discuss that on the other side.
See
Stay
you.
with us, everyone.
Meet the Seattle Vigilante. Like so many comic heroes, this warrior hides his identity. But his identity isn't the only secret he has to keep. After grievous wounds received during combat, Tier 1 operator John Russell begins to recover and comes to terms with his new reality of being an amputee. And as he learns how to use his new prosthetic limb, he finds himself caught up in the bureaucratic red tape that too many wounded veterans experience, the exhausting medboard process. Out of sheer frustration, John takes it out on the criminal scum of the city. But when reality kicks in, John realizes he started something that's having an impact on the greater world around him, and thus has to reevaluate his motives. And moreover, just how far is John willing to go to finish this war he's declared against the criminals in Seattle? And will he even survive? From the creator of IDW's award-winning graphic novel Code Word Geronimo comes a new story about a different kind of warrior, Vindicated Inc., the first of its kind disabled veteran action hero comic. The Vindicated Inc. graphic novel crowdfunding campaign on fundmycomic.com is provided in the description of this video. We hope you become a contributor. Please share this link. Thank you.
Hey, welcome back. Woo, to this nice overview of Cinemacon 2024. Now, we're going to finish out the Warner Brothers portion of Cinemacon because, a lot of us here, I can speak for me, I am a big Warner Brothers fan. I've always rooted for Warner Brothers. I like the way they do business. And while there are a lot of other studios, we will be going through a lot of the rest of that. But we're taking time to give a nice look through what Warner Brothers was able to present at Cinemacon from them. So, next we will be getting to Horizon, an American Saga. Okay? Now, this is the film that Kevin Costner left his hit TV series to go make. Let's see, footage from Horizon, an American Saga, the two-part Western epic that stars and is directed, produced, and co-written by Kevin Costner, was revealed at Cinemacon, and what was shown was a breathtaking sizzle reel of sorts from the films that tell a story set in the Civil War expansion and settlement of the American West. Costner said to the audience that he first tried to make these films back in 1988 and then in 2012, and he's so happy he now finally gets to get them across the finish line. However, his full plan for Horizon involves 4 movies that tell more of the story. He also discussed how this film will explore the promise of America that was earned by people who claimed it for their own by being tough and resilient. However, that came at the expense of those already here. He also wants music to be an important focus for this epic, and he even went to Scotland to get 92 musicians to work on the score. Horizon, an American Saga Part 1, is set to arrive in theaters on June 28th, 2024, and the second part will be released on August 16th, 2024. Martin, are you looking forward to this one?
I didn't know about its existence. And yeah, you got me interested. So if Costner was willing to abandon Yellowstone, maybe he has a good reason. And with us, we have Tig Ramirez.
Ooh. Hello, that's right. Hey, I wasn't aware of this story. You're shocking me here.
That's what I do. And
yeah, good morning.
Hey, good morning.
I haven't even had coffee yet.
Here's the thing. they've already put out a trailer for this. This is about 2 weeks ago. The trailer came out. It has got an incredible cast. This is something that, had this been made 30 years ago, 40 years ago, this would have been like an epic miniseries on television. That's how big this movie is. And I'm thinking that, as Costner said, he's waited a long time to tell this story. He has had this movie ready to go for quite some time.
What's his movie? I'm just still trying to absorb that we might not get an end to Yellowstone, which is a really good freaking show, man.
It is.
It was the one good thing that happened during the lockdown and the writer's strike was I found all those shows on Paramount Plus that aren't new Trek, and they're really good. In general, Paramount Plus is a decent service.
Well, this is it's a movie called Horizon, and it's really about the settlement of the American West post Civil War.
Is he a baseball player again?
Oh,
He's a manager now, right? It's like, I manage a baseball team.
Oh, let's see. Wow, read by nature.
You can't die.
Let's see. Is he in the show or just directing? He's directing and he's in it. Does the story lend itself to the age difference from when he first thought of it till now? I'm assuming that he just thought that he had better get a move on to making this movie so he could still play the part that he wanted to play.
Wow. So this is like his Unforgiven? He's had this script forever, and maybe he's filmed a little here and a little there?
I don't know about that part, but I do know that he had waited. He basically, this is what he's always wanted to do. And based on what he's put together, we're getting, his dream project. So
I think the deal with Unforgiven was somewhat similar. Clint bought the script and said, in 20 years, I'm going to play this character because then I'll be old enough. And he just held out. He's like, I don't want to play the kid character. I'm keeping this script until I can play, Bill William Money. So, wow.
Well, the problem with Kevin
excited.
Costner is he's had a lot of things go sideways on him.
And he's
his
sometimes
career-
a bad director.
Yeah. Studios here and there decided that he was a little too, he wasn't really consistent in his success. So he's had to wait. So he chose the proper time. And thankfully, he had a hit TV show that brought him back to prominence, not only on television, but back into the good graces of a lot of the studios out there. And he used that as an opportunity to make this project. So
Isn't his brother like a genius who invented some sort of way to like suck oil out of the Gulf too, right? So Costner might not be that, like, intelligence runs in the family. He's a good actor, so you wouldn't tell like he's really smart. Sometimes he comes across as below average intelligence as a character, but this is huge news. When he plays a cowboy, it's great. I loved him in Open Range.
Yeah. This is from what I've heard. This is one of a few westerns that are currently being mulled over by many of the studios, and it seems like the next great thing that the entertainment industry in Hollywood's going to look at will be films based on board games.
Absolutely.
Some more video game related films and westerns, and that they're going to try to get away from a lot of the other types of movies, especially the comic book movies, or at least superhero films. And as I was
waiting for our woke western. How do you mess it up, right?
Well, here's the thing. I was telling Martin that one of the reasons why a lot of people out in Hollywood don't get comic books is that they're not big comic book fans. So they don't understand the history of comic books. DC and Marvel around the time that Superman and Submariner and Batman and the Human Torch and Captain America, back when they were first starting, those companies weren't made to just do those things. Those companies were already publishing other things. Well, DC actually has, and Marvel both, have a history of having comic characters that are a part of what they do, that are outside of the superhero genre, but are still a part of what they do. In fact, the 616, there's a lot of Western comics that are a part of the 616. Marvel could, Kevin Feige and the MCU could turn around tomorrow and start work on a Western. And only those who do not know the history of Marvel Comics would get a little bent out of shape about the fact that they seem to be abandoning what they've done to do something new or follow a trend, when in actuality, they're just doing what they've always done, and started basically bringing to life some of these characters that they've always had. DC also has several Western characters. Both DC and Marvel also have characters that existed during World War II, and they could easily make a lot of films set during that. And then you have a lot of fantasy and fantastical characters that Marvel spent time developing. And at that same time, DC was developing a lot of science fiction properties, because they had someone join the company who was a major science fiction representative for some of the biggest names in science fiction literature, who joined DC Comics and helped them revive and revitalize and change a lot of the comic IPs that they had starting in the 1950s. Thus, the reason why you had the major reboot of both The Flash and Green Lantern in the 1950s.
And we have one comic book cowboy movie, but it's DC, Jonah Hex.
Yeah, but there are
That was
more.
whoa. That was
Yeah, that movie
garbage.
was not that good. But
And he
I will
wasn't
say
the
this.
comic book character either. He had all
Yeah, I
these
know.
new magical powers that were
Yes.
stupid. I can bring people back from the dead to ask them one question. It's like, what?
I will say this. If they both decide to do this, go down this road, you're going to see some things and see some plots that you never would have assumed were a part of Marvel and DC with a lot of this stuff. And I will at least say that DC is in a better place to take advantage of a lot more of what they have than even Marvel is, because you saw how they were able to utilize Shang-Chi and changed it in such a way where they messed up the character in that movie.
And the sidekick didn't help either. She was just too
Yeah,
much.
yeah. Well, kind of like that, DC has a lot of stuff that they can put out there. Look, Marvel has a lot of the same things. There is a mystical side or supernatural side to both Marvel and DC. Uh, uh, Marvel has some science fiction, but not a lot. A lot of their stuff is predicated on the fantasy portion, whereas, as I said before, DC seems to have a lot of science fiction related characters. And that's part of the whole cosmic side of the DC universe. Both DC and Marvel did a lot of detective stuff, although DC invested heavily in a lot of detective related comics, so they could do a lot of mysteries and film noir and other things based on things that they own. Again, DC Comics has had a lot of films made. There have been a lot of movies made that were actually DC comic films that the general public and even many comic book fans didn't realize were comic book movies. And I told Martin about one particular set of films that a lot of comic book fans from Marvel didn't even realize was Marvel related. It's a film series that there are 4 films in the series. The first movie and 3 sequels.
It's not. Is it John Wick?
Nope.
I was going by amount of movies. Okay.
And I'll tell you this much. The final film of the series, or at least the latest entry, had Chris Hemsworth in the lead.
It's not Thor.
Nope.
Black Hat is the only other movie I can think of he's been in. Not
Wolverine
that prolific.
66, getting it on. A History of Violence, Road to Perdition. Yep. Look at DC
Road to Perdition
roll.
was the one I thought you were talking about. Road to Perdition.
No, yeah. No. That's on the DC side. That's on the DC side.
That's when I realized I was wrong, but that's a really freaking good movie.
Yeah, it is.
Boom! He got it.
There you go. Wolverine 66 is our big winner. Now, Here's the thing. Marvel didn't actually make that. Marvel bought the company that owned the rights to Men in Black. The creator of Men in Black, the guy who actually created that comic, that was published years before the movie ever came out. And the entire thing was all right. It wasn't a big success, but it was just a minor comic. And there you go, Malibu Comics. Lasted a little bit, and then everything went away. Marvel bought the company, and they had the rights to that particular story as a part of having bought that company. Also, Wolverine 66, as you probably do know, Marvel's gone out and basically done that several times. They've bought a lot of smaller comic book related companies over the years and absorbed a lot of different characters. So, but the thing is that they kept them separate from everything. So there are characters that they own that they do not use as part of the 616. Whereas DC would buy characters and then bring them into their continuity. Blue Beetle is one that they didn't create. Captain Marvel, Shazam, is one they didn't create. See, Uncle Sam, that's another one. You have Captain Atom, that's another one. I remember Nightman.
Good, because I don't.
You can look that up on YouTube.
I have a question.
Really?
Yeah.
Because the first movie is really good, and the last movie, the commercial had me balking and laughing the wrong way.
Mm-hmm.
Did Marvel take over Men in Black? Is that why the last one looked like just hot garbage?
No. The Marvels never interacted on any of those films. They just own the rights.
Okay, because that fourth one was like Marvel bad. At least the commercial looked Marvel bad, and it had Marvel. Chris Hemsworth. I'm like, he's in-house guy.
The movie just wasn't as good as the previous ones.
Nothing beats that first movie.
It wasn't a trash fire. I watched it and I just thought it was good, but it just wasn't to the level that the other 3 are. So
the first movie sets such a high bar. It's absolutely hilarious. They do New York right. They get like the attitude right, and every single person from Queens almost lost bladder control when the spaceship took off at the Met game, because everyone sits at that Met game and walks past the remains of the boosters of the Apollo missions, and then they have what used to be the World's Fair. Guys, this was the original Disneyland stuff was there, like Abraham Lincoln animatronic and stuff like that. My mom saw it when she was young, and so all of us have walked past. It used to be a restaurant during the fair. I think it might have rotated, but like and it always looked weird, and it was supposed to be futuristic. And the 1962 World's Fair was like Jetsons sort of future, like Tomorrowland in Disney was like. That was the motif of the 62 World's Fair. Google it. I wasn't there, but I walk past the fairgrounds anytime I go to a Met game, and everybody kind of snickers at those two buildings and wonders what they are. And I think it's Mookie Wilson going back for the ball. And he just jumps up and then he loses track of it as he sees the spaceship take off. Everyone has been waiting for that at a Met game because they're not going to win anything.
Well, again, it really is just more about the writers and the producers of those films and the director. All three come together to come up with that story. All Marvel did was they allowed them to make the movie. That's it. That's all.
That's why it was good. That first movie is like, that's like a 4 or 5 star comedy. It's pretty good. The second one can stand toe to toe with it, and then we just start making too many compromises.
Yeah.
There's moments
Anyway.
in 3 though. I like 3.
Anyway, that's an example of what I've been saying for the longest time. If you think not making superhero films is going to stop you from having content provided by DC and Marvel, think again. And again, as Wolverine 626 put out there, look at how many movies that were DC films, or in this case with Men in Black, was a Marvel related that you didn't know. You know, they have enough content. They could continue doing different things. You know, it doesn't all have to be the Avengers and Justice League. You know, they have a lot of different characters and a lot of different stories. Looks like Gary's gonna be joining us in a few minutes. So
Cool.
let's get on down the road here with the rest of what I have here for Warner Brothers.
Highlander.
Oh, you know what? We're gonna stop right now, and we're gonna go to Highlander because somebody here wants to talk Highlander, and you know what? I'm all here for it. Okay.
There can be
So-
only one. You can't die, Ramira. You can't die, Highlander.
I love that movie.
Did you see my Twitter yesterday? I would walk past the Silver Cup building where they have the final fight.
Yes.
Well, that is a fixture in the neighborhood. I mean, I can see that from most places where I live. And what's just another trip to work for most people, I look off the Queensboro Plaza subway station, the elevated one, not the one underground. There's 2 called Queensboro Plaza. The 7 train station, looking out as the 7 and N train station is elevated, and you look out, and they built another freaking billboard in front of it, so you can only see the beginning and the end of it. But the Silver Cup logo on there is like every day it would start like kind of special. I'd be like, there could be only one, and it's like I'd think about that movie, and it would like power me through my subway ride. Because you know what, this not exactly holy ground on the 7 train.
Well, you know what? We're gonna get to some of that information right now from our friends at Deadline. Okay, this article was written yesterday at 10:17 a.m. Okay. If you thought you'd seen me do sword work before, you haven't seen anything yet.
Okay.
Such were Henry Cavill's promises about the new Highlander movie he's doing with Lionsgate and John Wick director Chad Stahelski, as the star made an appearance Wednesday at the studio's Cinemacon sessions in Las Vegas. But there was more. The actor's new movie, due in 2025, with Jake Gyllenhaal and Isa Gonzalez, directed by Guy Ritchie, got a title, In the Gray. The pick centers on a group of gunmen who, when billions are stolen, steal them back. The trailer kicks off with a kick-ass sting by Gyllenhaal, Cavill, and Gonzalez and the skinny streets of Europe. Cavill also stars in Ritchie's upcoming The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare, about the UK's recruiting of a small group of highly skilled soldiers to strike against German forces behind enemy lines during World War II. One of them being 007 author Ian Fleming, played by Freddie Fox. The movie comes out April 19th. Cavill on stage said of real-life ministry, "We're quite extraordinary to have characters like that who were able to change the course of the war. He had never heard about the group before." Of working with
Hey.
Gyllenhaal, he said, "Jake is not only an incredible talent, but a wonderful man. I'm hoping we may see both of us on screen more often." Let's see. Of Richie, the Superman actor said he creates a wonderful environment on set, offering plenty of creative freedom. Sometimes people say a film set is like a family, and to a degree it is, but not necessarily the family you want to keep hanging out with all the time. In Guy's case, it is, Cavill said. There's a shorthand and a freedom of friendship. Cavill expanded on Highlander. "I'm a lover of the original movies, for better or for worse. And it's one of those things where I was reading the script for the first time. I wasn't quite too sure where they were going to go with it. The first few movies," he said, "touched on the lore. But my goodness, me, oh my, we are going deep into these characters."
First few
Let's see.
movies? This is
Yeah,
going to be a
oh,
franchise?
Yeah,
Is he
but
gonna
hold on.
play-
Whoa. Let me answer your question. Ready? The idea is this, based on an interview with director Chad Stahelski. Stahelski said that the difficulty with what happened the first time with all the Highlander films was the fact that the first film did a really good job of wrapping up the entire story. So if you're going to try to redo it again, you're going to have to think of a way of coming up and doing something that they couldn't think of the first time around. His idea to do that is to take the story of the first movie and expand it.
Expand on it. Hold on,
Oh,
Keith, because
okay.
you're giving up too much. We're supposed to be going over this tomorrow.
Oh, I'm sorry. You know
Our
what?
thumbnail, I shared it with you. You know, we're going to be going into this tomorrow.
Okay.
So you're like letting people peek into their gifts
I'm
early.
sorry. Thank you for stopping me.
Will unsay it.
Jesus Christ. Anyway, yeah, we're going to be talking about this shit with Stallone. He is, he and every right-thinking person in Hollywood, whenever they're going to do something, is going to be under attack every single time they do it.
Yeah.
If you oppose this DEI shit and don't want to take shit off these people, they're whining and they're bitching on the set. Guys like Stallone's not going to fucking take it. So we're going to be talking about that tomorrow, plus Henry Cavill and all this shit with Highlander. I mean, this is exciting news. I
Oh
got to be
God,
honest.
is this exciting?
And I think that we really need to like really go into it tomorrow.
Yeah.
Not to mention, we're going to be talking about the dropping of the new Joker 2 Folie à Deux trailer. Some people not digging it. I will tell you how I feel about it tomorrow. I'm not going to share now. But there's a lot of people not liking it. And then, of course, we're going to be talking about Godzilla. And we're going to talk about the latest from the Penguin TV series, too. We need to go into that. So, yeah, tomorrow's going to be a fun day. I think that it's going to be probably one of the most fun shows we've done in a while, because we actually have interesting news to go into that I personally give a shit about. Because, normally I don't really give two shits what has to do with Marvel or DC.
Yeah.
Because I've lost my love for both of them. Or Star Trek. I mean, modern Star Trek, this new shit, that Nouveau Trek, is just
not Star Trek.
It's not Star Trek. Don't care. People are like, well, don't you like that one cartoon? That is not Star Trek. What about this other cartoon? It insults Star Trek. No, I'm not interested in insulting Trek. I'm interested in parody, but you don't call parody the same name as the fucking show you're parodying.
You call it Galaxy Quest.
Yeah. Jesus. This is, and by the way, I posted about it last night on Twitter. Last night was the first time I visited Mikey Sutton's Geekosity website since he died. I just I couldn't go there.
Yeah.
I dropped the whole doing Geekosity thing on Fridays because that's my way of mourning.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, last night, the first time I went to the website to look to see what's going on, because I know Kieran is still over there working his little butt off, and I do want to get back because I miss Kieran.
I do.
I do want to get back to us doing Geekosity on the weekends, on Fridays, and having Kieran on because I love that guy. And I'm just going to have him on for like the last half hour of our Friday show or the first half hour of the last hour.
Yeah.
I think that'd be better. The first half hour of the last hour of the show. Because everybody knows that TGIF is the party that never ends for 2 hours.
Yep.
Nobody ever laughs at that.
No one wants the party to end. I mean, it's sad.
Come on.
It's a great
Party that
show.
never ends for 2 hours. But anyway, I just want to drop in, say good morning to everybody. Mention that because I don't talk much about it, but Mikey's death really hit me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure it hit you too because you were close friends with him like I was, and it really just fucking hurt. And I just felt like something died with us a little bit.
Yeah, it was. I look at it this way. I owe Mikey. I do. Because of him, you and I got a major kick upstairs. He was really that first person who
we introduced him to the internet or to YouTube.
Well, and he gave us
but at the same time, he gave us so much attention and love.
Yeah, and he gave
calling
us
us Lethal Weapon.
Yeah.
And what was the response? I'm Murtaugh. You're Riggs. I'm older and what is that line?
Too old for this shit.
Too old for this shit. Yeah. So, but I really do miss him. But I think that I'm ready. I don't know about you, but I think I'm ready for us to get back to talking about Geekosity and some of the cool stuff they're still doing over there.
Yeah.
And I don't know who runs the show, but I know Kieran is still writing.
Yeah. I've been hanging out with Sil Abdul, and
we need to get him back on too.
I've been doing his Wednesday show, and mysteriously he's decided to have all black guys on Wednesday. So
racist.
And
I'm going to go in there and make all three of you laugh, and they'll go, "Oh, so black does crack."
Oh, goals. Anyway,
goal, please.
Oh my God! So look, we're going to go deeper into everything because this Highlander news is this is really exciting. And you just touched on some of it.
Yes.
I don't want to talk about it because I know we're going to get into it. Hey, Sci-Fi Mombi is here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, then, while you're here, let's talk about the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare.
I am so excited they cast a young man to play Ian Fleming in it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still hoping that there's a secret that Christopher Lee as a character will be in there.
He better be.
He was a member of that team. He was a member of that team. Which is why he was able to tell Peter Jackson what it sounds like when you stab a man in the back.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what was going through my mind. Or when he's supposed to be talking to, think about it, when he's talking to Bond, it's like, he is what Bond is supposed to be. It's like they're true equals. It's like, we are the best. Bon appetit, Bond. It's just amazing.
Well, here's the other thing. Both he and Roger Moore actually did serve during the war.
Mm-hmm.
And but that
Roger was a Royal Navy, as I recall.
That was the Boer War for Roger, right? Because he's really old.
Yeah, and he, and I believe that it's because he was in the Navy, he has such an anti-gun attitude. He just didn't like being around them.
Yeah.
And it was one of the toughest things he had to do as James Bond.
Yeah. The thing that I like about Christopher Lee is the guy he was just good at everything. I mean, he's not one of these people that I could ever really see struggling with anything. He just did it. There's no questions about it. You know, the guy just did it. Whether, play Dracula. But he could play Dracula, you know. Or turn around and he could play I think they even got to play a mummy. So he could just do anything. Film, television, he could record a heavy metal album. He could the guy was just unstoppable.
Yeah, Chris Lee was something else, man. But I got to get going here. I just wanted to give everybody a little taste of what's going to be tomorrow and stop you from giving everything away of what we're going to talk about.
Well, I'm assuming that for TGIF, we're going to get into the whole of Highlander. We're going to talk about.
We need to really get into it because I like the fact that they're going to be doing some world building, and this is so much more interesting because Highlander was far more interesting than the film let on. The one thing that we have to make sure, and I'm pretty sure they're not going to go that way, there is no planet Zeiss.
Oh, thank God. Thank God.
Highlander 2 must never be repeated.
Highlander 2, the sickening.
Ever. Yes. Oh, my God. Even the director's cut, I was just like, man, this is slightly less vomitous, but it's still vomitous.
Well,
but anyway, guys, I got to get going. My woman's waiting for me.
Later, buddy.
I will see you guys later. And hey, everybody in the chat, love you guys. And I'll see you, well, hopefully tomorrow. So, and let Wolverine, you make sure you're there tomorrow. All right, guys.
We gotta definitely talk about Gregory Wyden.
Yeah.
More people need to know.
There's so much we got to go over tomorrow.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'll see you guys later.
You got it.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye. And by the way, hello to Sci-Fi Mommy in the chat. She's going to be with me tonight for the watch-along of Star Trek Disgracery. Oh, God. The show's bad. The watch-along is fun. The watch party was fun last week. The show, there's no saving the show.
Yeah, I heard that Michael
Did you
Burnham,
watch it?
No, I haven't. I had to stop watching.
Guys,
I won't waste your time.
Guys,
yes,
we had a lot of things to cover.
Okay, we got to get back into it. So looks like I'm going to stop with what I've already said about Highlander, and also remind everyone to join us tomorrow for the rest of it because there is more to say. Okay,
but Cover will play my role.
But let's get back into Cinemacon and let's discuss. Okay, Universal. Look, Universal right now is the one company that I think really has got a lot of fun stuff ahead that you can't argue with too much. Okay? But yeah, let's go ahead and get that going. So, let's see. We're going to go straight to our friends again at Deadline. Despicable Me 4 kicks off Universal's 2024 Cinemacon with Gru's Honey Badger Heist.
I deeply disliked that first movie. I took my nephew to see that, and I was upset by the movie. It was very, very upsetting to me, and I almost cried. I was out of anger and self-loathing with the adoption angle of that. I don't know how that got 3 sequels. I'm supposing they walked away from that part hard, where they're like imprisoning the children and making them just like, and if you work really hard, you'll get adopted. And I'm sitting there like, man, I am adopted. I didn't need to come to a movie to think about it this way. Let me show Luke Skywalker's my kind of adopted character, Not Mark Hamill, Luke.
Well, again, it works for a lot of the kids that it was aimed at. Let's see. CinemaCon attendees got an extended clip from Illumination's Despicable Me 4 at Universal's 2024 presentation. In it, Gru, Steve Carell, teams with the villainous Poppy, Joey King, to steal a honey badger from a castle private school. 2 minions and Gru's baby son Junior are in tow. Calamity ensues as the honey badger awakens, creates havoc with Gru getting hit in the butt with a tranquilizer shot.
The short?
Illumination boss Chris Meledandri introduced the clip, thanking exhibitors for the sleeper success of his animation studio's migration, which made $293 million. In case of any doubt, our commitment to produce original animation film remains steadfast, as Meledandri. The latest Despicable Me installment in the multi-billion-dollar grossing franchise hits domestic theaters on July 5th, following the 2022 summer blockbuster of Illumination's Minions: The Rise of Gru, which earned almost $1 billion worldwide. The animated franchise now begins a new chapter as Gru, Steve Carell, and Lucy, Kristen Wiig, and their girls, Margot, Edith, and Agnes, welcome a new member to the family.
That sounds all right, actually.
Yeah. And Gru also faces a new nemesis in Maximine Lemau, Will Ferrell, and his femme fatale girlfriend, Valentina Sofia Vergara, and the family is forced to go on the run. Wow, looks like they're just having fun. That's really Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. I would, we saw 4 voice roles, right? And Steve Carell, of course, he originates it. Very appropriate. Kristen Wiig, also pretty appropriate too. But then every single other person is a known name. Like, what's so great about Sofia Vergara's voice or anyone else's voice? Where are the voice actors out there who are great? Where's the guys who did some of the extra voices in Batman, the animated series? Can we get some people moving up the pecking order? Like, for these 4 voice actors, like, real actors, just like, I hate to sound like Peter Dinklage here, but, they're taking jobs away from the voice actors.
Yeah, I agree, but my thinking on it is you need to have names to open up the film for those people out there who just can't go to something unless they are familiar or have something familiar to draw them in.
Yeah, whether it serves the story or not.
Yeah, that's the way I feel about it. I'm like you, though. There are a lot of
actors like Joseph Cotton or someone like that who would just be everybody's best friend. Like, character actors just don't seem to freaking exist anymore at all.
Yeah, I agree.
Where's the Jason Robards of today? Sorry, I'm so sorry.
Let's see. Let's get to Lionsgate. Got a lot to cover. Forgot all about this. Now, this is the one that is going to be it's going to be interesting to see how the general public reacts. But I will say this, based on what I have read and a picture that I was shown, at the very least, this is going to be interesting. And I can definitely tell you that I will go see this movie in the theater because I'm interested to see how they're going to pull this one off. Let's see. This is from Deadline. April 10th, and it's from 11:17 a.m. yesterday. Let's see. Yes, this just happened to big cheers. Producer Graham King showed up to close Lionsgate Cinemacon session in a big way Wednesday, showing off an emotional first trailer for Michael, the Michael Jackson biopic that hits theaters on April 18th, 2025. Director Antoine Fuqua still is shooting the movie, but a first look clip was assembled. I'm looking forward to giving to the audience a thrill like they've never seen before, King said. He promised the film would cover Jackson's career, his personal life, artistry, and musical legacy. It is a story worthy of cinematic presentation, King said. For the first time, fans and generations of moviegoers will come together to get an inside look into the most prolific artist who ever lived. And if I remember correctly, Graham King was one of the producers on the Queen biopic.
Wait, they're making a Mick Jagger movie because he's 80 something and Michael Jackson is gone for like 15 years at 51?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, I take issue with the term prolific. If you want to say prolific selling artist, absolutely. Nobody had a better year than he had with Thriller. And it was really like parts of 3 years. And he really just dominated the charts. What was it, 68 weeks or something insane like that? But he didn't have a very long life. And his records, and sadly, we lost a lot of music. And his records tended to be spaced out by like, well, they were spaced out, but they're spaced out by like 10, 12 years sometimes.
Sometimes, yes.
Prolific is just not something I could say about him, you know? But he was great. His music is great, at least.
Yeah.
I wonder what kind of movie, if it's just about his persona, or because a Michael Jackson movie could go either way.
Well, this is something, here, I think he's going to get into it. King said the filmmakers had tried to find the untold version of the story. Michael Jackson was an enigma, full of eccentricities and talent, he said. He also was simply a man who lived a very complicated life. The movie will get into all of it, including over 30 songs spanning his career, his life on stage, and his life out of the public eye. King also said this would be a long feature film. The footage begins with scenes of screaming fans and cuts to Jackson as a little boy whose mother tells him there might be some people who think you're different, and that's going to make life a little harder for you, but you never were like anyone else. In voiceover, grown-up Jackson says of performing, it transports your entire being. That's what I want the world to feel like. Magic. Some of the footage shown to the exhibitor crowd today at the Caesars Coliseum appears to take place during the off-the-wall era, as well as that of Bad. Man in the Mirror is a key song heard throughout. We also see the pop singer's nephew, Jafar Jackson, performing on stage as the king of pop. At one point, his voiceover says, when I'm not on stage, everything feels foreign to me. A voiceover from what appears to be his mother, Katherine Jackson, adds, you have a very special light, so let the light shine into the world. The pic shows it all, from Jackson's childhood days in snowy Gerry, Indiana, to the Jackson 5 performing, and the Thriller star being mobbed by fans while sitting in his limo. So, we're getting a Michael Jackson biopic from one of the producers of the Queen biopic.
It could be good. If we hear that they're reuniting Black Sabbath to do their version of Human Nature, we know what kind of movie it's going to be, right? And I want to hear that song. I want to hear that song.
Man.
Tell me you don't want. Tell me you're not hearing it in your head right now.
Oh, wow. Well, hold on. We also have, let's see.
I wonder who's going to play Rebby. Well, while Keith is looking, who would be right to play Rebby Jackson, my favorite Jackson sister? She was really cute when she was young. Married to Will Elda Barge be in the movie? Think about all the people that could be in this movie. There's going to have to be someone playing Prince. They had a friendship. I don't know if they were tight, but they like publicly hung out a few times, and they had respect for each other. So I mean, they may need a Prince in this movie. Who would play Prince?
Jonathan
Majors. No,
Here,
wait,
here we
you gotta
go.
be like 5'3".
Here's the rest of the Universal stuff. Let's see. Universal ended its CinemaCon presentation with Wicked last year, and they continue to beat the drum for director John M. Chu's feature take of the Broadway musical with a colorful spectacle. Every attending at Caesars Coliseum was given a faux tulip that lit up in varying colors, in particular pink and and the article just stops there. What are you doing to me, please?
This has been on Broadway for over 30 years.
Yes.
Sometimes it goes away for like a year or two, but it's more or less, there's been two or three productions. But you can bank on any story that is related to The Wizard of Oz. At one point, we had Into the Woods and Wicked on Broadway. So two like variants of The Wizard of Oz. And
Yes.
I've seen the play. I don't know what they're going to be able to do with it. Oz the Great and Powerful somewhat went to where Wicked goes.
Well, here's the rest of it. I found the rest of it. Was given a faux tulip that lit up in varying colors, in particular pink and green, creating a great visual before Jeff Goldblum, aka the Wizard, took the stage to introduce Chu and producer Mark Platt. Chu regaled, "I was a Silicon Valley kid, and as a matter of luck, I was there when Wicked was workshopped in San Francisco. I'll never forget it. It imprinted on me permanently." He was joined by Michelle Yeoh, Jonathan Bailey. Yeoh praised Chu for casting her in roles in which the filmmaker knows her so well. But the big surprise came when the witches themselves, Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo, stepped on stage. Grande knew after seeing the live musical that she had to play Glinda. The new footage shows how Erivo's Elphaba and Grande's Glinda are forced to be roommates at Shaz University in the land of Oz. A profound bond is formed despite Glinda being something of a queen bee. Alas, it is she who gives Elphaba her black witch hat. Glinda and the other schoolmates marvel at Elphaba's ability to perform magic, but even she doesn't know how she's doing it. Yeoh's headmistress tells her, "You're the one the wizard has been waiting for." Well, this is just a description of the entire trailer.
Are they going to
let's see.
sing? Is it musical? Because
Yeah,
that's
this is a
the thing
musical
that makes
too.
the
It's
Then,
going to be a musical as well. The Wicked, the first
hate to
chapter
admit I'll
of a
go see
two-part immersive cultural celebration, releases domestically on November 27th this year, with Wicked Part 2 scheduled to arrive in theaters on November 26, 2025. Gosh. The big screen adaptation of the stage musical tells the untold story of the Witches of Oz, based on the best-selling novel by Gregory Maguire, originally based on L. Frank Baum's 1900 novel, The Wonderful Wizard of Oz, previously adapted into MGM's classic 1939 film of the same name, and was also the subject of a much early film sometime in the late 1900s.
You mean, wait, like we're talking like a Nickelodeon movie where you crank it by
Yes,
hand.
yes.
We're talking about that. Yep, because that's like the first like Peter Pan, I think, or something like that too.
Yep.
We've got a few movies like that because we don't know what a movie's going to be yet, ladies and gentlemen. Now I remember this because, of course, I'm an immortal Highlander. But yeah, when I first came to your country, yeah, this was. And by the way, The Eclipse was the second one I've seen here in New York City. I watched the last one with the Lenape Indians. We had a good time together, and then things got sporty. But I can't see why they're going to make two movies out of it. That's the only thing baffling me. Everything else seems set up for success.
Mm-hmm.
Ariana Grande, been a little while since we heard the name, but she could sing pretty good,
Yes.
so it's appropriate. If they get the best singers, I'm fine with that. I don't want to, say that well, I'll just say it. I'm tired of Michelle Yeoh because of Star Trek freaking Discovery. I liked her in Goldeneye.
I look. My admiration of
I'm
Michelle
sorry, in
Yeoh.
Tomorrow Never Dies. Sorry, I had to correct my Bond mistake
Oh yeah,
there.
yeah,
She's in Tomorrow
and
Never Dies. Sorry, everyone.
actually, she was asked to come back for the final Pierce Brosnan movie, and she couldn't because it
Too
had
bad.
bumped into. She was already at work on another project.
It was
But,
probably that stupid Star Trek movie. They've been filming it for 12 years, you know. That she's gone from her 40s to her 60s waiting for Section 31.
Yeah. Well, she's done it. She's made it. But the thing is that Section 31 movie is going to be turned into a television series, and she's
It'll
not
be
going
in
to be a part
theaters
of it.
like a. They're gonna throw. They filmed something. This is what I'm hearing. They did film the television series. It's not going to include her. There will be like a movie that initiates the TV series. Most of the time, she's doubled and doing lines from ADR because they couldn't really afford her, and she didn't really have any passion for it, no matter what she says. And
Yeah.
she was only there for a few days. So Michelle Yeoh, she can act. She's a great, action star from the 90s and 2000s. I don't know about now, but maybe she could still do it. But the thing is, I don't know that they can redeem that character. She's not going to be in the show. And how present can she really be under those conditions, you know? Like,
Yeah.
she's going to be almost as only Sofia Vergara will be less present in Despicable Me 2 than she is in so-called Star Trek Section 31. Ugh.
Well-
And that will hit theaters for one day to satisfy the rights, because I think they're going to find a way she's going to shoot back through time and meet the Kelvin people. I almost guarantee it.
Maybe, because again, when it comes to the Kelvin cast, you need to pay them all, and
They only
are
need
willing
one.
to get-
They're willing to take just Zoe Saldana. That's the story. It's just her and Sulu.
Guys,
yeah.
it should circle back to
Oh, you know
Cinemacon.
what? You're right.
But we get going on Star Trek. Sorry.
Let's see. Cinemacon. There's not much else. I mean, there were a lot of speeches, but for the most part, I've given you guys the highlights and some of the various things that are happening. Trust me on this. No matter what you may have heard, the studios are very cognizant that you need to be entertained. There are various types of projects they have coming down the pike. Seems that a lot of them are basically based on other IP, which, again, that's a whole Hollywood thing anyway. Hollywood's been doing that since the beginning. You know, I mean, basing films on IP that exist in other forms, i.e. books, plays, and television shows. So, I hope you've had fun today. I know I have. Hopefully you guys have finished your coffee, because I still haven't. But on behalf of Admiral Teague and Martin, and a big thank you today to Gerry, who came by to remind me not to spoil all our fun for tomorrow. I want to thank War Monkey, Awesome One, Gap After Dark, Shanadsky, Anima Confusa, Monkey Jeebus, John Cipolla, JCVM, F214.
Shanatsky's got it. Comment.
Oh, Cinemacon, yes. Read by Nature, Wolverine 626, Sci-Fi Mombi, D-Bud Martin, the lovely Penny, Andy Morrow, and the big MM himself, Big Mike. I have been Keith, and this has been Morning Coffee with Keith.
See you guys
Thank you.
tonight for Star Trek Discovery.
See you guys.
So-called Star Trek Discovery.
See you tomorrow. TGIF.